Hey, what's up, y'all? Happy Autism Awareness Month. Want to give a shout out to the caregivers and to the parents of those diagnosed with autism. Your job is not easy. A lot of people won't say that publicly because they don't want to be judged and they don't want to come off as ungrateful for their children. But as a father of someone who is diagnosed with severe autism, 1 in 3 people with autism will be diagnosed with severe autism. But as a father, I can say that it's been a journey over these last 10 years with me and my wife. When we got that diagnosis 10 years ago, it turned our lives upside down. And we wanted to get a diagnosis because around that 18-month time period, we started to see some concerning behavior from our son, Jordan. It seemed like he was not progressing. It seemed like he was actually regressing. For instance, I used to come home from work and he used to greet me at the door. Then I noticed that I started to come home and he wouldn't greet me at the door anymore. Or when we would pick him up from church, I would be at the door picking him up from church and I would call his name Jordan, Jordan, Jordan. And he'd be off in his own world. And the teacher said, I don't know why he can't hear you. So we started to understand that there was something going on. So at 2 years old, we finally went ahead and got him tested. And it came back, the results came back with intellectual disability, or how the doctor said it at the time, mentally retarded. He was about 2 years old at the time, and he was operating at a 6-month-old level. And then he would later go on to be diagnosed with autism. When we heard this as parents, it crushed us because my wife calls it shattered dreams. Because as a parent, you have a certain idea or a vision of what your life is going to be like with your child. You look forward to certain milestones. You look forward to, going through the toddler years. You look forward to, at least I look forward to teaching them how to play sports, going through middle school, high school, the homecomings, the proms, eventually going through college, and eventually leaving the house. But when you get a diagnosis like that, it throws all those future milestones into uncertainty. You don't know if they're ever going to leave the house. And that's actually what we asked the doctor at the time, but he couldn't answer at the time if our son would live with us forever or not. And, you just don't think about that. And then there's other things that come up that you thought you would never have to think about. The therapies. You thought you'd never have to think about if your son will ever speak. And our son is 11 years old and is nonverbal. You don't think about the behavior situations that you will have to go through. And I just want to say this. I want to clarify this. We have 6 children. From a behavior standpoint, for the most part, Jordan is fine. It's the other 5 kids we have to worry about. I got a 2-year-old who likes to go into the dishwasher, take out my favorite coffee mug and throw it on the ground and smash it because he thinks it's funny. Anyways, but there are certain behavior issues that do come up. For instance, he likes to have things in his mouth. So how that manifests, at least recently, has been taking the buttons off all the shirts in the house, putting them in his mouth, chewing them up. So now we got to get new shirts for everybody in the house that has buttons. So that's just one example of a behavior that maybe some people wouldn't have to deal with, but we have to deal with that and adjust to that. Also, the accommodations, having a restricted life because we have to accommodate our child. And I just want to give a side note here. If you're a church and you don't accommodate special needs, you don't accommodate people with autism, you're missing out on a lot of people, because people are not going to drop their kids off if they don't feel comfortable in the environment that their child is going to be in. So churches who don't have a special needs ministry, I think you should just really look into getting on that and accommodating everybody to come into the church. But these are some things that my wife and I have been dealing with over the last 10 years. And that gap between what you thought life would be as a parent and what life really is as a special needs parent, that's where the frustration comes in. That's where the resentment comes in. And that's where the questions come in, like, why me? Why us? Why him? And fortunately, over the last 10 years, we've been able to come to grips with that. We've been able to come to accept it. But there have been times where, like, God, are we being punished? Did we do something wrong? Did Jordan do something wrong? And we have to work through those questions and those feelings. We've come to a place of contentment now over 10 years. We've come to a place of acceptance. And we appreciate everybody who's helped us along the way, everybody who understands the true challenges and that has helped us along the way, giving us date nights, giving us time away, accommodating us at church. I appreciate everybody. And I wanted to come on here and tell a little bit of our story because you go through things in life. It doesn't have to be special needs, but especially special needs parents. You go through things and you tend to keep it to yourself because you just don't want to be judged. Or you've tried to open up in the past and you've been misunderstood, or somebody said something to you that's off the wall. But when we keep it to ourselves and we stay isolated, it adds to that loneliness, and it doesn't help us get through some of these situations. So I wanted to get out here to inspire somebody else to tell their story, and I wanted to provide awareness to people. You might have a friend who has autism, or you might have a friend who has a child who has autism, and you might be able to support them in a way you haven't supported them in the past just by giving them a listening ear. And I think if we can do that to provide a safe space for people to be honest about their situation, we're going to move closer and closer to providing the support and understanding that we need in our times of challenge. And that's all I have to say today. I'll see y'all. All right.